we're getting ready to take a break, but before I do, you mentioned about Jasmine Crockett. I don't know if you caught this or not, but everybody's
I
talking
tried not
about.
to.
Yeah, I hear you. There's maybe shots for that, but as a vet, you may have some inside track on that. But they talk about Mamdani being this communist, potentially the next mayor of New York. But I don't know if you saw over the weekend a faction of the Democratic Party in Minnesota just endorsed a Somali immigrant, avowed socialist communist, to be the next mayor of Minneapolis over the current Democrat mayor who was all about George Floyd and all of that kind of stuff. But they have come out, this group, it's called the Farmers Democratic Party, something like that,
Sure.
have come out and endorsed another leftist communist to be the next mayor of one of our major cities. It's just getting crazier by the minute, Ted.
Well, it pains me because I was born in Minnesota. Where I grew up was a small rural ag town, had about 10,000 people in the county. And it was just, the rural America. And it was such a great place. And now it's turned to this liberal bastion. And the Democratic Farmers Party is a social communist party. And there's several members of Congress, especially from Minnesota. But this person that you were talking about for the mayor race, this again, and goes back to education. If people would read that book, The Clash of Civilization, he talks exactly, Samuel Huntington, the author, talks exactly about how the immigrants, primarily Muslims of the more radical Islam, how they come in, model citizens, and then they start getting elected. And you see this over and over again. And now all you have to do is look at some of our bigger cities, and it's happening there. And then look at European cities. Look at the amount of Muslims that have taken over some of these cities. I've got nothing against Muslims, but I have a problem when they have a radical agenda, as the Squad does and the Ilhan Omar. Can you imagine to have more power in the United States government of people of that mindset and what it's going to do to America? Not so much this generation, but a generation or two from now, it'll be unrecognizable.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and dig a little deeper into this whole Obama treasonous story that we started talking about at the top of the show. We're going to get into what we think should happen and what will likely happen. So please support our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, look at the little Call Freddie tagline you'll see periodically appear on your screen, and call in. We'd love to have you. But Ted, we'll be right back.
Although the owner of Lewis Oil Company maintains she is 29, Lewis Oil turns 60 years old in June. Chevron would like to recognize the North Florida second-generation family-owned business, celebrating its growth and staying power. Lewis Oil Company maintains significant on-hand supplies, strategically located fuel depots, a delivery fleet, on-site service, fuel card locks, and convenience stores. Lewis Oil Company understands its responsibility in the local economy by providing service and delivery on demand and in crisis. As a first responder for 18 Florida counties and the Southeast from Texas to Virginia, we are proud of this rare accomplishment. Lewis Oil delivers.
This is Ward Scott, and I want to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. The Ward Scott Files premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care.
Meldon Law, the only official injury partner of the Florida Gators.
The Ward Scott Files Gold sponsors are Lewis Oil Company,
Shoot GTR,
On the Spot Dry Cleaners, R&R Construction, and Style Cuts. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, www.wardscottfiles.com, and click on the Advertise Here banner on the right side of the page, or call my friend Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the Ward Scott Files. And remember, if you like the show, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. May God have mercy on your soul.
Or that very much surprises me that you've never been tased.
You can't handle the truth.
All bees poop.
A warthog. He's going to come up the steps. Here he comes. Oh my goodness, and he's huge. Hello, boy. I wonder if we can pet him. Hi, boy.
Can we touch him? No, don't.
Help me! Help! Help!
Back to the Three Ps, our political pirate podcast, with the hosted by the old salty dog here, John Martin, and the captain of our pirate ship, literally down in pirate territory in the Florida Keys, Captain
That's
Ted
right.
Yoho.
We're here, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And I see that warthog. It always reminds me of Ward Scott, our mentor, and just a great tribute. And I can only think, if you're getting that much rain, that he's up in the heavens doing his naked rain dance.
Doing this shaking his groove thing. Yeah, he was pretty effective at that for sure. And there are
Yeah.
people who chime in on, we keep his Facebook site alive, and somebody chimed in last night saying they sure miss Ward. And
Yeah.
believe me, that sentiment is carried here as well. But when we
It sure is.
When we went to
Go
break,
ahead.
Ted, we were talking about this report that has come out from Tulsi Gabbard, the National Intelligence, Chief of Intelligence, basically, that she's come out with this report that outlines and highlights the information. She says there's over 100 documents that literally prove what I think we already suspected, that after Donald Trump got elected, before he got sworn in the first time, that the Obama White House was conspiring to conjure up the whole Russia hoax deal in order to sabotage Donald Trump as the incoming president. And so what we want to get into now is what should happen and what we probably think will happen. But I want to read you a quick headline here and talk about something, Ted, and then have you comment on it. So, House Oversight members call for arrests over Obama's 2016 election narrative. And these are two from Florida. I'm sure you know well. Reps Anna Paluna Luna from Republican of Florida and Byron Donalds, who is actually running for governor. They're both members of the House Oversight Committee. They've called for arrest after new records into the Obama administration reveal that the claims Russia interfered with the 2016 presidential election were manufactured and politicized intelligence. So what are your thoughts on that request by them?
I think it's drama politics. What are you going to arrest them on? What are the charges? Let's do the fact finding and then arrest who needs to be arrested and hold them accountable. To come out and say, oh, they need to be arrested. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, but what are the facts? They would never go to prison. And I think what we need to do is do the investigation and hold them accountable. And I think it'll prove, if they go through this investigation, it is a treasonous act. They went against the Constitution and free elections. They did everything in their power to prevent Trump from getting elected. Go back to James Comey when he did the investigation of Hillary Clinton. Carolyn and I were in the airport going to D.C. He's on all the news channels. Of course, in the airport, it's all CNN. But he's saying all the reasons that what she did was wrong and why she should be arrested. But at the end, he made a judgment call, which was not his to do. And he goes, we recommend no prosecution against her. His job was to give that information to the attorney general and let them make that call. But he did that. And everybody was shocked because just pretty much stated everything we knew was true. And this is the arrogance of that administration and people like Comey. Stated everything that was wrong, that she should have been held accountable, and he swept it away. It's like giving a middle finger to the American people and our constitutional republic system.
Yeah, well, see, I have kind of mixed feelings on this, Ted. I mean, I do sympathize and feel that we deserve the truth and all of that, and going back to the Epstein thing and all the clamor of all this stuff. And I'm not trying to put the stories together, but what I'm saying is I get that there are a large portion of people, and I'm one of them, that simply want to know the truth and want to go from a basis of truth. But, and I put a big caveat on this, and I'd love your thoughts on this, Donald Trump is celebrating, if you will, his first 6 months in office, basically this weekend. That means he's got 3.5 years left. Assuming, this is a big assumption, that we win the midterms, he has a chance to have a 4-year presidency. Imagine what he could do over 4 years, let alone what he's done in 6 months.
Yeah, really.
In order to arrest Obama and have him do the perp walk, so to speak, which I understand why people want to see that, I really believe it would, whether he wanted it to or not, it would consume the rest of his presidency and derail the MAGA agenda. So I think we that support Donald Trump, we that believe in America first and all of that kind of stuff, we have to balance all of this out and live in the real world and try to clean up the mess and not go forward with the same crap, and educate people to what really is happening. And the American people have got to take charge of the elections, not the political parties. And we've got to get educated and motivated and activated ourselves. And so my concern, I'm long-winded, but I really believe in this, Ted. My overall concern is that by wanting Obama to do the perp walk, which, maybe he deserves it, but will it derail everything that Donald Trump is trying to do and has the potential to do? That's my biggest concern.
I think you're 100% right. And that's where I don't want to see this get bogged down. And I guess the way they could do that is do like they did with Robert Mueller, have a special investigational unit outside of Congress, or doesn't get involved in Congress every day, so that they can find if there was criminal intent, which if they explored it, there was. And so to do that in Congress and these oversight committees and those things, I think that would come later. And I agree with you, because if they get bogged down in this, that's going to be the narrative from now on until Trump, the next presidential election. And it'll be fruitless, because if parties change control of the branches, that all goes away. It's kind of like the January 6th thing. When they lost, all that was for naught. I mean, all that garbage that they found, and it'll be a great thesis for some PhD student at a conservative university.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one question I have too, though, about the Obamas, are they still actually politically relevant? Because I think they're actually fading, and this could help. But if we try to arrest the dude, it's going to reinvigorate his legacy, if you will. But the Obamas are kind of fading, and I want to play a snippet. Michelle Obama has her own podcast now, right? And especially for her level of what she should be drawing, it's basically has no audience at all. But
I think we have almost as much.
Yeah, and we have the potential, I think, to
and we're growing.
Absolutely. But Barack Obama was on Michelle Obama's podcast this past week, and I want people to hear what he says is a role model. Hear him in his own words, and we'll come back and talk about it real quick. Check this out.
I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy. You need that to show empathy and kindness. A lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
No matter how good the dad is.
He can't be everything.
He can't be everything.
I don't even know what he's saying. He doesn't have boys. What does he know about raising boys?
Well, there you have Barack Obama. And Ted, off the air, we were talking about it, and you mentioned the fact that that Barack really never had a father, and that is a very big deal, no question about it. I'm so grateful for the parents that I had. But
Sure.
Obama literally in that video talks about a gay professor. I mean, if you've been to college over the last 30 years, you definitely had a gay professor somewhere, whether they were out or not. But he says, and the part that got me, I'm not saying don't elevate a professor, and I could care less about their sexuality. I have professors that were kind of mentors to me, and I never worried about their. But the part that gets me is where Michelle says, even kind of insinuates, even more important than a dad is having someone like this in your life to look up and aspire to. And it just shows me that they don't really care about the family unit. They don't care about the fundamentals of really what makes America great, let alone again. But it just is a bizarre comment to me.
It really is. And, again, it shows you where they're grounded in, what their purpose is. And you're asking if they're losing influence. I think they are. You saw that in the last election when he went and tried to talk down to the black males that were at a rally, saying that, they weren't really men because they weren't going to vote for the minority candidate that's partially black. And they're like, "You're talking to me that way?" And it's like, "Get out of here!" And that they responded to his talk the way they should have by not electing Harris. I think it was a very strong talk, and it goes to that podcast of Michelle Obama's. She's getting to the bottom of the barrel that the only person she can get on there is her husband.
Her husband.
Nobody else should show up.
And her brother. But I just, as always, Ted, you always inspire me to an epiphany. I was just thinking about this, and we'll close out on this story. If you want to see Obama right-sized, if you will, and be punished, if you will, for what is pretty obvious a conspiracy they had against Donald Trump, there's one way that could do it, because I don't think the perp walk's going to work. If the more successful Donald Trump is as the president of the United States, 47, and the MAGA agenda, America First, the more successful he is, it will put in perspective the Obama administration, and it will put them down at the level that they need to be. So I think that the best retribution, if you are opposed to the Obamas, is a tremendously successful Trump presidency. Unprecedented success was not only going to help put them in their place, but it's going to help America at the same time. It's a win-win. I can't hear Ted now.
Oh, he's muted. We're good.
All right, say again. You got muted somehow, Ted. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? All right. Well, it was like Obama and Biden were saying that their biggest fear is their legacy was being put away, washed away, erased, hopefully, because of the Trump White House and his administration. President Trump is the most pro-American president I've ever had in my life. I would say definitely more than George Bush, more than H.W. Bush, and as much, if not more than Reagan. He does it differently. He's not as poised as Reagan, but he delivers on what he says he's going to do. And the things he's delivering on, for the most part, I think are going to make this country stronger in the sense of protecting the constitutional republic we have for future generations. The direction we were going, America was over had Harris been elected. And people need to understand that. All you have to do is go back over the last 5 to 10 years. Look at the policies they put in place. Look at the policies they put in place for COVID. Look at the misinformation that was coming out of COVID by the administration and all that stuff. It was garbage, and it was not good for this country. Look at the not social problems, the social change in this country. It was all identity politics, and if you were against that, you're tagged as somebody to watch for with the FBI as a domestic terrorist. And this is something that this country was heading into. Had Harris been elected, that we would have been that way. We would have been a totalitarian government. Would have been a socialist government. And as the founder of the leader of the Democrat Socialist Party, or Democrat Party of America, that is behind Zoran Modani and AOC and the likes of the squad, he says all communists are socialists until they achieve socialism. Then they move on to communism, and that's where we're heading. And I'm glad to see people are waking up, and I hope they stomp Zoran Madani in the elections for the mayoral race. And it just needs to end. This is not the country to have. That go start your own country. It will not be in this country.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to shift gears now and do a story that on first blush you may think, why am I picking this story? I think it's actually an important story. This comes from the Daily Beast. Hollywood demands investigation into CBS over late show cancellation amid bribery concerns. The Writers Guild, the WGA, is calling foul on a shocking cancellation. This is the article's words. Shocking cancellation of CBS' most beloved program, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Shocking cancellation. Really, Ted? How concerned are you that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is going off the air?
I haven't lost any sleep over it. You know what I was shocked about? That he was still on. I would listen to him back. I don't know how long he's been on the air, 15, 20 years. He had some funny things, but he was always that political left leaning, and he got more so, and he got way left. I haven't listened to that guy, and I can't remember how long. I'm just shocked that he stayed on this long. And for the left to say, oh, it's a conspiracy, go after it. Spend your time hunting that one down. There'll be a lot of rabbit holes to go down.
What amazes me, and we'll get into some statistics of the show here in just a minute,
yeah.
But what amazes me overall, Ted, is, and I'm going to read a quote from here in just a minute from the Writers Guild, but they're basically making it sound like that canceling this show is hitting at the very heart of America, and is that the success of this show is literally vital to saving our country. That's what they're making it. And I mean,
sure do.
God, if true, then we're in really bad shape.
Think about that. If they're saying that,
they're
thinking that this is a source of real news for the American people. And it's sad if people think that way. The guy was anything but news. He was a political hack job and just a liberal progressive.
But check this out.
I'm glad to see him gone.
Listen to this, Ted. So this comes from the Writers Guild, a statement they put out. The Writers Guild of America has significant concerns that the Late Show's cancellation is, get this, a bribe, sacrificing free speech to curry favor with the Trump administration. And they also said it was a big fat bribe. Think about this. The bribe they're talking about is that CBS has settled with Trump over the editing of the 60 Minutes video with Kamala Harris. But we're talking about $16 million. Now, that sounds like a lot, but in the scheme of things, it's not. And the money is not going to Donald Trump. It's going to a future Trump library. So, it's just unbelievable that they're worried about the $16 million here going to the Trump library. It's like vital to our country. Go ahead.
Think about why that lawsuit was there. They edited 16 minutes or whatever it was of Kamala Harris gibberish, word salad that she speaks, because it made her look so bad for a presidential election against Donald Trump. And so they edited that to make her the shining star while at the same time working against Donald Trump. And it was all done to sway an election. So, yeah, they should have paid out on that, because that was a political hack job is what that was, favoring one candidate over the other.
But they went on, this Writers Guild went on to because they're calling for an investigation into the cancellation of The Late Show. Say a corporation, talking about CBS, terminating a show in bad faith due to explicit or implicit political pressure is dangerous and unacceptable in a democratic society. So they're saying that the Late Show is vital, really, to our country. And like I say, if that is true, to use a Democratic phrase, if true, then that is the real problem, that a show like that they consider vital to our country. It's just amazing.
To our democracy.
Yeah, it's under threat.
But when they had Facebook and Meta and all those platforms going after the conservatives, shutting them down, blocking their emails. And I think it's happened to you or your podcast, the threat, and you get shut down because you're challenging something. But yet they're crying about this one. I'm glad to see the guy go.
Yeah, well, he's got a golden parachute. I'm not too worried about him personally, but they went on to write, then this is a Screen Actors Guild, they went on to write, we call on our elected leaders to hold those responsible to account, to demand answers about why this beloved program was canceled, and to assure the public, I hope you're assured, that Colbert and his writers were not censored due to their views or whims of the president, talking about Donald Trump, man. I mean,
I don't think Trump cares anything about Stephen Colbert and his show.
But listen to these stats, Ted. Check this out. So they say it's a beloved program. Well, first of all, the ratings are at the bottom. I mean, like, just to give you an example, Gutfeld, love him, hate him, whatever, of that show, his ratings are about 3 to 4 times higher than the Late Show, right? And people may say, well, that's Fox, but Fox News goes into like 60 million homes, right? The Late Show goes into, but CBS into like 300 million homes, yet his ratings are like a third of what Gutfeld gets. Think about this, Ted. Listen to these stats. The show cost over $100 million to produce. The Late Show, over $100 million, has over 200 staff members on that show to produce that show. Last year, it lost $40 million while paying Colbert over $20 million per year. Clearly, Trump is the issue here, right? I mean, so CBS didn't make a financial decision. They made a political one. It's just insane.
Yeah, Democrats are all mad because they want to do a subsidy and give them a subsidy so that they can keep pushing that garbage out there on their uninformed electorate.
Yeah, I'm not defending CBS in any way, but think that they made a decision where they're spending over $100 million a year, losing $40 million, and 200 people employed by that. That's why the Screen Actors Guild is upset. They're worried about those people. It has nothing to do with the issue.
They ought to worry about the stuff they write and maybe try to reach across the aisle and get more of a broader viewership.
But of course, Ted, the usual suspects, and I mean like Bernie Sanders and Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, and Shifty Shift, as President Trump called, have all expressed concern over coincidental firing. If Paramount and CBS ended the Late Show for political reasons, this is what Shift is saying, the public deserves to know. Well, maybe we need a special counsel on this, or I want to play.
Just right there before you go into that, for political reasons, it should be investigated. Go back to Facebook, Meta, and those other things that were censoring people. Google, was that for political reasons? Huh? Yeah, and should we investigate that? We're beyond that. Let's move on. As far as Stephen Colbert, you had a nice run. See you later. Enjoy your retirement.
So I'm going to play you a quick snippet from the last show that he did. Now, he's not canceled until like May of next year, but this was Friday's show on The Late Show. Check out the guest he had and what he had to say, and maybe you can see why they canceled it and why they don't want to cancel it, I guess. Check it out.
To push back on that is to say, piss off. Piss off. The president, as you know, has been going after me within the last couple of days. Ever since I led his first impeachment, he's threatened me with jail and prosecution and called me a traitor, accused me of treason, blah, blah, blah. He coerced Republicans into censuring me in the House, and now the latest attack on me. So I just want to direct this, if this is the right camera, or maybe that's the right camera.
That's the right camera right there.
Donald, piss off.
I tell you, when your leading story is Adam Schiff and you're on a comedy show, and 200 people to produce that, my God, man. But that had nothing to do. A lot of
writing went into that.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with why the show is canceled, right? I mean, it's just
sure
insane.
Not.
So
The
clearly
good
they're
part about
vital.
that is you can tell how much Trump has gotten under Adam Schiff's skin. That's
Well,
great.
I want to play one more quick video, and this was from years ago when I used to do a show. I used to use this because I believe that if the American people could cast a vote, they probably cast this. But this is, if you really want to know my true sentiments about canceling the Late Show, this little short video sums it up. Check it out. As an animal vet, Ted, I feel like you could appreciate that, but that pretty much sums up how I feel about the Late Show being canceled. Just flush it and be done with it.
You know, what's funny is that cat had a lot of common sense flushing him down there. That cat made sure everything was gone before it walked away.
Well, we only got about 5 minutes left in the show, and I want to touch base on something. I was going to talk a little bit about Ukraine, but there's something that happened over the weekend that I really think we need to address real quick. That there was a off-duty Border Patrol officer in New York City that was at a park with a woman, it turns out, and they were sitting there just minding their own business, whatever they were doing, and he literally got robbed or attempted robbery and got shot by an illegal alien who he shot back, and they've made an arrest on this guy. But this guy here, Nunez, his name is Mora Nunez, has 2 prior arrests for domestic violence in New York. Sounds like the Maryland man. He's also wanted by the New York Police Department for a robbery in December 2024, a felony assault and stabbing in 2025. All of these he got let out without bond in New York City. And he's also suspected in Massachusetts for allegedly stealing guns. And he came across the border unvetted in 2023 and was let loose by the Biden administration. This is who the Democrats are protecting, Ted. And he tried to kill a police officer.
No, he did. And I mean, we see this happening all over the nation. I mean, I don't understand why anybody supports the Democratic agenda. It's the only people that will support it are the people that really want to disavow this country. They're not happy with this country. And you're seeing that base of theirs building. But these are the people from the previous administration that were in this country. They need to be deported. Actually, he needs to be held accountable, and he'll do his jail time. We're at a period in time where we can't afford people like this running around. There's no respect for the rule of law. And of course, the Democrats are going to say we don't respect it, or the Trump administration, because they're taking people off the streets. But what they are doing is something that had to be done because of the emergency situation we're in that was created by them. Again, I mean, for John Kerry to come out and say what President Trump is doing is the right thing to do on immigration. I mean, that tells you how far that party has strayed and I never thought I'd ever hear John Kerry say anything like that, but that shows you how worried they are about what's going on. You know, when you have people like him, that was a Secretary of State, a senator for a long period of time. And, I'm glad you brought this up because our job is to educate people. Wake up, people.
Yeah, I want to read one more kind of related snippet to this, Ted, and then we'll give you the last word today. So Democrats fume over a new plan to house illegal immigrants in New Jersey and Indiana military bases. So they want to put these in some underutilized military bases right here. But this is what a group of Republicans, Democrats in New Jersey said about this, including the great Cory Booker. They said, using our country's military to detain and hold undocumented immigrants jeopardizes military preparedness, which they've said doesn't. And listen to this. Paves the way for ICE immigration raids in every New Jersey community. So they're worried about ICE actually apprehending these criminals in every community in New Jersey. And I'm just saying, I hope so. But these are Democratic leaders saying they don't want ICE apprehending these people in every community in New Jersey. Think about that, Ted. Go ahead. I'll give you the last word, sir.
Well, it's laughable. I mean, they're worried about national security and how putting people on these bases is going to erode our national security. You know, now for national security, we would not have to be doing this had they done what they were supposed to do. You know, I want to know when we're going to start utilizing Guantanamo and sending people there. I went down there on a Codell. It was probably 8-9 years ago. And they were clearing an area for 40,000 people to be put in there, kind of a tent city thing. And I asked the commander, I said, "Do you know something about this that I don't know?" And, you know, we can only assume that it's going to be used. And maybe this is something that it should be used for. It's outside of the United States. We run it. And I think it was very effective with the ISIS terrorists. I'm not calling these people terrorists, but I think it's a good place to put them to where they're contained and they can't get out.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please like what we're doing.
We sure have.
Share it far and wide. The Political Pirate Podcast. We've got a website out now, and more will be revealed soon. Ted, enjoy your time in the Keys, sir, and we'll talk again on Friday, I guess.
Fabulous Florida Keys.
I'm going fishing myself.
And I'll bring you a fishing report on Monday.
I hear you. Peace out.